America. I'm Eric Erickson. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon for November 24th. And this first thing is where I ended it on my show today, and I'm still just stunned by this report. Federal prosecutors say 2 Texans, Gavin Rivers Weisenberg, age 21, and Tanner Christopher Thomas, age 20, allegedly plotted to recruit homeless people as a mercenary army to seize an island off the coast of Haiti, Gonâve Island, kill the men, enslave the women and children. They allegedly were planning to buy a sailboat and weapons for the attack. Now, listen, who among us hasn't plotted conquest of remote islands? I don't know if these guys didn't make the lacrosse team or what. With names like that, they should be on the lacrosse team. 20 and 21-year-old plotting the takeover of an island in Haiti with homeless people and a sailboat doesn't sound like an actual serious plan, let alone implementable. But they've been charged, so there's got to be something there. I just don't know what's there. It's kind of a wild story. I mean, who says Gen Z doesn't actually have ambitions? Here we are, 2 20-year-olds wanting to take over an island using an army of homeless mercenaries, something I never thought I would say ever. A federal judge has tossed the cases against James Comey and Tish James, the former FBI director and the current Attorney General for New York. The judge ruled that the interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was improperly appointed. Under the laws of the nation, the president can name an acting U.S. attorney for a district in federal court districts. When that person's term is up and the president hasn't named someone else, the federal judge gets to make the pick. This federal judge ruled that the federal judges in the area get to make the pick, that the president didn't do a second appointment timely. The statute of limitations, though, has run on the James Comey case. However, federal law gives a 6-month window to refile a case if it's dismissed after the statute of limitations is run. But will a new acting U.S. attorney who's appointed by judges in the area want to pursue the James Comey case when we now know not only was there a screw up at the level of the grand jury, but that internally the careerists in the Department of Justice looking at the allegations against James Comey said there was no there to indict him. Will an acting U.S. attorney who is not beholden to the President of the United States be willing to refile this, or can the president get a new U.S. attorney appointed and filled in that position within 6 months to make it happen? I don't know. But if you're keeping score at home on how the appointments are going, there are 18 open U.S. District Court judge vacancies in 9 red states where the president should be able to make quick appointments, and yet it's been months with those seats vacant and no appointments by the president. A lot of people in Washington are scratching their head. The conclusion is that he just doesn't want Federalist Society picks for those seats, but that's where you get your judges. Even the people who don't like Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society understand that's where you go to get judges, so there's no understanding of why the president's team has dragged their feet on filling those very important seats. And if they're not willing to rapidly find good people to fill those seats, how are they going to get somebody credible rapidly to fill a seat in Virginia while the clock is ticking on the statute of limitations allowance to refile the case against James Comey? Mary Daly of San Francisco's Federal Reserve has said she backs a rate cut in December due to weakness of the labor market. Now, this is very important because she tends to align perfectly with Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board. There's been some question about whether or not a rate cut could come. This is encouraging to markets. However, based on the vote counting from the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, CNN, and other financial groups, there appears there could be a split in the Federal Reserve because some of the Federal Reserve governors are afraid that inflation is still too high and that actually the labor markets are doing okay right now, and that given the data produced by the White House just last week on September's economic data suggests the economy might actually be moving too much and we might be getting more inflation than we wanted. And so there appears there could be a split. It's a 12-member board. A tie is very easy, 6-6. Now, here's the irony. Who appears to be the swing vote on the Federal Reserve on the issue of a rate cut? Well, that would be none other than Lisa Cook, who Donald Trump is trying to remove from the Federal Reserve The Supreme Court has allowed her to stay on pending a review of the case. But yeah, based on the review of a number of outside entities from Bloomberg to CNBC to the Wall Street Journal, it appears Lisa Cook could be the swing vote for cutting rates at the Federal Reserve, and she's the one Donald Trump is trying to oust. Lastly, senators are privately grousing about the Department of Defense taking legal action or threatening to take legal action against Senator Mark Kelly over his stupid video about resists implementing unlawful orders. I mentioned this on my program today. After my show, one prominent Republican senator texted me and called it BS, except he used the actual bull word. And he noted that it does nothing but help elevate Mark Kelly's stature, and he would be a more formidable opponent against the Republicans in 2028 and will turn him into a fundraising juggernaut. Senators are flummoxed by the Department of Defense pursuing this. Likewise, Republican senators are working behind the scenes to sabotage the Ukraine peace deal without improvements. They're very upset about the deal. They blame J.D. Vance for this. Marco Rubio, multiple senators say, has been behind the scenes whispering he doesn't like the deal, and he's the Secretary of State. The Europeans positively hate the Ukraine deal. All of this is to say, I don't know what's going to happen with the deal, but I knew the Senate still matters. And the White House is going to have to pay attention to the U.S. Senate. They can no longer take the House and Senate for granted, as some House members are threatening to quit early and sabotage Donald Trump's agenda, handing the House to Hakeem Jeffries early because they're furious with the treatment by the White House. My advice to the White House is you've got to shake up your Leg Affairs office, because the guys in the House and the Senate, they're not going to be trifled with on this, and they're not going to give you what you want. They're going to stop carrying out your agenda rapidly. They want changes made in the White House Legislative Affairs Office. They want Mike Johnson operating differently as well. They want an open process in the House, much as Senator Thune is promising to give them in the Senate. And the senators in particular, they want to be consulted about foreign affairs. They have treaty approval power. They've got budget approval power, and they matter, and they want you to know they matter. That's what a lot of this is about. But on the Ukraine deal, they do not like Russia. And even many of the Republicans don't trust J.D. Vance's team when it comes to dealing with Russia. The Senate still matters. The House matters less, but it still matters. And the White House better pay attention, because the backlash from elected Republicans is coming. They fear the president less and less as lame duck status sets in and the party breaks apart over MAGA and which direction it's going to go and who's going to lead it after Trump. I don't think he calculated that that was going to happen, and it's happening in real time, and we are watching it. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. I'm Eric Erickson. Please stay informed, stay engaged. Please remember to take your turkey out to thaw it out if you haven't done that already. And keep the faith.